couple of minutes after 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Welcome everyone to the Senate Education and Youth Committee. To begin, I'll ask Senator Brass if he'll lead us in a word of prayer.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for all that you do for us, and please be with us today as we look over these great bills, and just give us your wisdom and your guidance as we do everything in your name. Amen.
Thanks, sir. All right. Chairman Jaspers, I believe you have a first bill of the day. We have House Bill 1292. It's LC 490815. Is that what you're working from?
Yes, sir.
All right. If you'd like to go ahead and present your bill.
Okay, thank you. You know, I appreciate your committee's hard work on some tough subjects this year, and your attention to thoughtfulness and education. You may not know this about me, but I probably had the most fabulous job in the world before I was in the legislature. I was a county agricultural agent. I was a guy you called to know how to kill things and also to make them live, but a career also with kids in the 4-H program. And the 4-H program and the FFA was probably the most rewarding thing I did job-wise. This bill will help people like me who worked with 4-H across the state. This bill simply credits a student with an excused absence when they're at a school event. This will be treated like a field trip. And of course, they have to make up their work. You know, the 4-H program is a cooperative educational program funded in the state budget, funded by local school systems. 4-H is taught in many 5th grades across the state and up throughout our school system. The 4-H representative that it references on the second page is an employee of the University of Georgia and will have to authorize the event for the excuse to take place. That's my bill. Very simple proposition.
All right. Any questions from the committee? Any questions from the committee? Sir Brass.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Chairman, for bringing this great legislation.
Yes, sir.
Are we currently doing this in other extracurricular stuff like sports and things like that?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Right. Then I can see no reason why not. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. What number are you?
Number 6.
Sir Gooch.
I was wondering if the representative from Jasper could quote us the 4-H creed.
I would like to know that too.
I pledge my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living. For my club, my community, my country, and my world.
That's impressive. I'd like to make a motion.
Are you thinking about
I think that's deserving of it.
I'll make a motion to pass LC 490815.
I think you just earned that motion.
Good work.
I have a motion, Sir Gooch, and second. Any other discussion on?
Do we need to check him on that? Because I'm pretty sure none of us know it.
Actually, Senator, I did the 4-H pledge. The creed thing is to make the best better.
Okay, there. Now we can pass it.
I'll rescind my motion.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on House Bill 1292? It's LC 490815. Hearing no other discussion, all those in favor signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All those opposed? None. So your bill moves on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thanks, sir.
Tyler Harper has been asked by Arch Smith to carry the bill.
Thank you, sir. All right, next we have Representative Corbett, House Bill 1295. Is he not here?
I'm sorry.
Oh, you just made a grand one, sir.
I apologize. I'm also hard of hearing, so.
This is House Bill 1295, and then we have LC 49. I think we have, it was 0962S.
17S.
Okay, this is the one centered. Where's this?
I prepared the substitute today.
Uh-huh.
So this, but I don't know if the representative prepared it for.
Okay.
Do I? Yeah. Yeah, I think we have a sub. I've not seen it yet. I've not seen it yet. Huh? Could be both. Is that a political answer? No?
All right. Senator Tippins, we're actually going over your the language that you presented for for House Bill 1295.
Yes, these incorporate some changes that were suggested by the Professional Standards Commission. I think Mr. Arthur's here to speak to these, and he can speak to their concerns more than I can. I'm not telling you this is something you need to adopt and something you don't need to adopt. I just thought if this I think addresses some of the issues that Professional Standards had, and if you were to adopt it, I didn't think it was something that needed to be drafted on the fly. So this is for your consideration.
Okay. All right, thanks, sir. All right.
Would it please committee for me to present the original? And
Yes,
then
sir.
let's
Yes,
talk
sir.
about changes. Would that
Yes,
be?
sir. Yes, sir.
Please. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like I said, this is House Bill 1295, LC 490917S. As you know, in Georgia, almost 50% of the teachers leave the profession within the first 5 years. So the intent of this bill is what we're trying to do is hopefully improve that, retain those teachers, hopefully get them help they need to get them up to being highly effective teachers. Right now, teachers are evaluated on a yearly basis, and they're rated on a scale either unsatisfactory, ineffective, needs development, either proficient or highly effective. You know, even after we pass this bill, that grading system will still be in effect, the evaluation system. They'll still be evaluated on that same scale. What we are doing with 1295, we're removing the needs development from being a punitive as it applies to the Professional Standards Commission. Right now, if a teacher gets 2 needs developed within 5 years, they stand to lose their teaching certificate. So hopefully by doing this, what some schools are doing, they're hesitant to give them a needs development because if they get 2 of them, they can lose their certificate. So a lot of times they just give them rate them as proficient, and they never get that professional development plan that they really need. So by removing the needs development from the professional standards part as being punitive, you know, they still got the unsatisfactory and ineffective. If you got a teacher that's unsatisfactory or ineffective, they still get that rating and they can still lose their certificate. But with the needs development, that allows the school system to hopefully, you know, get them a professional development plan and get them the help they need. The other thing we're doing in the bill is as it relates to the pay schedule. If they get 2 consecutive needs development, they do not earn a year of credible service toward that pay schedule that teachers are on. So we will remove that, so they can still get the needs developed and still stay on, you know, earn a year service as far as their pay schedule is concerned. That's all we're doing with the original bill. I can't speak to the changes that Senator Tippins has. I've heard about them just briefly before I came to the meeting and would be willing for. I know other people have signed up to speak to the bill, and I don't know what's the pleasure of the committee.
Well, I would just, we had the original language in, and when we put the substitute, we took the original language out, so I will apologize too. So I would like to have had both, just the substitute and the original language, but we'll, but I will entertain. We will just not hear this as a hearing today, since everyone doesn't have everything in their folder.
Okay.
So the original language. So I would rather just do that. Senator Tippins.
I would say this in reference to your bill. I completely agree that beginning teachers inductive in the induction stage of their career, all of them need development, because you don't come out of colleges of education knowing everything you need to learn, and part of it is a mastery of skills and technique and ability. Not everybody's on the same page. So from that standpoint, I agree the first 5 years are really when a teacher's made. I mean, just from looking at it from a school board perspective, I mean, most teachers, they hit their stride. The ones that are really, really proficient may hit it in the third year. But, you know, typically speaking, you have a seasoned teacher by the time they've been there 4 or 5 years, all things being equal. So, I mean, I agree with that, and I don't think that needs development needs to be punitive, especially in the early stages, because they all need development, and it should not be used to remove certification. My concern on removing it overall are not those that are learning the trade, but maybe those that have been there 20 years and developed problems. I've sat on disciplinary panels. I've sat on disciplinary panels when you remove teachers that had 20 to 25 years of service who were good teachers at some point in time, but for whatever reason, I've seen some that developed drug or alcohol abuse programs or problems that their efficiency declined. I've had some that were good teachers and just quit being a good teacher. Well, I went to an all-night hearing one time. We met from 6 o'clock in the afternoon till 5:30 the next morning. We wound up terminating the contract of the teacher. But I mean, the events that had been happening in her class or not happening in her class were despicable. And we owe our children to make sure, we owe them a responsibility that they have professional, productive teachers in the classroom. So I worry about really those who may have hit their stride and are declining because they get to the point maybe they don't care, they're disinterested, or they may have problems. And I think there needs to be, this is kind of an early warning sign. And I've seen good teachers who were proficient teachers that really had to be removed. So part of the problem is getting people to document problems, getting administrators to document problems. School, all education, I think, operates on the concept of collegiality and cooperation. Everybody wants to play together. That's in the DNA of education, and in that, because they've played together, worked together for so long, they have a real hesitancy to point out failings of another. So it's everybody may acknowledge that there's a problem. Getting someone to put it in writing is a problem, but you can't terminate a teacher without having documentation on it. And sometimes teachers need to be documented. So that's my concern. That's the reason I was glad to talk to PSC about it. And again, whatever the committee chooses to do, I'm good with it. But I mean, this is a real problem that exists.
Can I respond? I mean, I couldn't agree more. Those, you know, I'm glad we were not rated ineffective when we first come in as legislators, because I've probably been out the door as well. So I'm glad we got a mentor and kind of helped us along. But you know, it has been brought to me. You know, I served on school board for 12 years, and it seemed like those 12 years we was constantly moving that goalpost, changing the testing requirements or whatever. Every 5 years, it seems like we were changing, something. So those, you might have a teacher that's been there 5 or 10 years, and now we've changed the curriculum again. So they might have to relearn that, and we still have the unsatisfactory and ineffective that they can give them to document what you're saying. But I think by removing the needs improvement, we do allow that flexibility for the system. When you do change curriculum or remove that goalpost when the ball is in the air, to hopefully get them some help to retain those teachers. And that's my thought. But I agree with you 100%. We absolutely, we had, when you had an unsatisfactory teacher, you had to do a lot of documentation and stuff to do it. But I believe in accountability as well. So yes, sir.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? All right, I do have 3 people signed up to speak to this. I'll first call Lisa Morgan, Georgia Association of Educators. If you'd like to, you can just sit next to him, if that'd be all right.
I won't buy it.
I teach kindergarten, it's not a problem. Because trust me, I've been, yeah, it's all happened before.
You know, legislators and kindergartners are all the same.
I'm sorry, I laid this down and lost what I wanted to read to you. There we go. Okay. Good afternoon. I am Lisa Morgan. I am a kindergarten teacher, and I am the president of the Georgia Association of Educators. And I am here to speak in favor of the original language in House Bill 1295 and against the amendment. And I'm going to speak all at once, probably. I hope you can understand what needs development means in the teacher key system. And needs development is a 2 in our system. A 4 is exemplary. And it's the adverbs that are important in teacher keys. The adverbs for exemplary is that the teacher continually does what's in the standard. We have standards for as educators. The adverb in proficient is the teacher consistently exemplifies the standard. Needs development, the adverb is inconsistently, sometimes. And the adverb for ineffective is does not. So these teachers that get needs development, it's not the teacher that is going to be next week in front of the school board because there is a serious issue. As was discussed before, these are our teachers in their early career, and these are our veteran teachers who have a new literacy program introduced in the building. And the first year in any program, whether you are a first-year teacher, a 15-year teacher, a 25-year teacher, you have to learn the program. You have to learn the ins and outs of the program. And so for that year, the teacher that has been exemplary may suddenly get a needs development in some area. You also have the issue of you have a new principal who comes into your building. And we all know everybody has supervisors. And I think if you've worked long enough, we all know different supervisors highlight different things. They're looking for certain things. And that principal and that teacher need to get to know each other. And for that year, they might be a needs development. Or I'm thinking about our high school teachers who have been teaching high school economics for 15 years. And now the school needs a world history teacher. That teacher that's moved from economics to world history, that first year teaching that new curriculum, those new standards, even with all their experience, yes, it's going to be a learning curve. I have said many times that as an educator, one of the great things is we get a brand new year twice a year. Every August is a brand new year. And all of us as educators every August have things that we feel we need to improve on. I always did. We are always learning as educators. So I ask that you support the original bill and take the punitive actions out for all our educators who, for whatever reason, might have a needs development. Needs development is not the ineffective teacher. It's the teacher that is inconsistent. We know we have a teacher shortage in Georgia. Let's help those teachers who have signed on to teach our children and help them become effective, not push them out the door. Thank you.
Margaret Cicerelli, did I butcher that again?
Yes, but it took me like 5 years after getting married to learn to spell my own new last name, so that's been 15 years. I'm Margaret Ciccarelli from Page, representing about 93,000 educators across the state, here to support the legislation and thank the author for bringing it. Like the speaker before, we have worked extensively, and I have in the legal department at Page, which is part of my job, or was formerly part of my job before legislating and following y'all became more of a year-round affair. But anyway, the legislation in its original form, it sounds like it's an amended form, maybe what we prefer the most, and I'll tell you why. Removing the consequence of an award of a needs development from an evaluation score that could lead to loss of value of certification doesn't mean that a teacher is going to keep her job if she's not effective or needs development. It doesn't mean that there won't be other consequences for that teacher, but it does mean that it does reflect that our evaluation system in Georgia needs work. And if we want to offer constructive criticism to teachers and to say, you really do need development, and we need to be honest about that professional critique and allow administrators to give that critique in the spirit in which it's intended to make sure that we are serving students properly. We don't need to disincentivize the award of this evaluation score. And so allowing school districts the flexibility to award that score without it being such high stakes for educators that it could lose, it could mean loss of certification, I think is important. And also I would add that the original version of this bill contained, or one of the versions, I'm not even sure what version we're at this point, but it had a pilot for school districts who choose to participate, again, not mandatory. Those districts could participate in a new evaluation system. And I think the fact that we're even here discussing this bill today means that our evaluation system needs work in Georgia. We all share the common goal of making sure that we have accountability, a high accountability and transparency for student achievement. But we also want to make sure that we are building a teacher mentoring and kind of scaffolding system that will coach educators, those who are capable of doing the work, to provide that for students. And so allowing that pilot to move forward, but also to going with this bill in its original form, I think would be ideal to strike that balance, and so that we can come back and next year or the next year and talk about what the pilot showed. And what we need to do with that information. Looking forward to y'all's leadership on this.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next we have Matt Holder. That's the last name. I got Matt right, so.
That's good enough. Arthur.
All right, Matt, if you just tell us who you're with.
I'm with the PSC. I'm the executive of the Georgia Professional Standards Commission.
Okay.
Okay. And so what we recommended, or what we suggested, is that the first 3 to 5 years, in that if the person gets a need development, it should not come back on that person. They ought to be able to work through that and go. So what happens after that? After someone has been there, let's say 10 years, and they get a needs development for 1 year, how do they get off needs development? That hadn't been talked about. How do they get off of that unsatisfactory thing? They just simply come back and have a good one the next year. And so there are teachers and there are administrators that somewhere during the time they need some development, and they may need a push to get it done. And if they don't have that push, needs development is different than the other two extremes. Needs development, they're still working on it. They got a chance to improve, but they've got to do it. And so we feel like it's important to keep that. You know, one thing that I do agree with, does the system need rework? Absolutely. And I was a superintendent when it was put in. and it was hard to put in, and it was hard to keep in place. You all define the differences between what your kindergarten teacher, GAE, what she explained. How you going to do that sitting in a classroom? It's tough. But where we're at now, I just really feel like needs development for 5 years, 4 years after, all the way through. It just needs to be there to help. All they've got to do is come back the next year and have a good year, a better year, show that they have improved. Everyone can show that they improve. It's not like they have a disability and can't improve. They can improve a needs development. It's not there, it goes, you know, it's there, it's gone, and they start over. With the current bill, we also suggest you take out the 5 years. I don't know where 5 years came from, but the 2 within 5 years, that doesn't really matter to us. I mean, it doesn't, I don't understand where it came from, why it's there, why is it 2 during that 5 years? That's pretty tight. So we recommend to do away with the 5 years and just have 2. But that person has the ability. If you give me the ability to improve, then I'm going to improve. If I want to stay in that job, I'm going to do it. And I think there are very few people that we're talking about here in the state, very, very few, but they are there. And if we don't have this, because it is a different degree than the other 2. So we feel like it's important for the PSC. We're going to live with whatever is decided here, and we're going to move on. But we wanted to make that suggestion. We feel like it needs to be there.
Okay. Well, thank you. Hey, you've got a question from Senator Amber.
Matt, thanks for being here. Since I don't have the original version in front of me, let me ask a couple of questions. Have you talked to Chairman Corbett before today about his bill?
Saw him today. No, this came up Friday. We talked to DOE about it.
But you never talked to him about this bill, even as it was going through the House process?
No.
Okay.
No.
Another question is, do you know how many teachers would fall into these rating categories currently?
Do you have any idea? Less than 1 or 2%?
We don't see differentiation of it. When it comes to us, it just comes through as an unsatisfied professional standards. We don't see the needs development or whether it's ineffective. But essentially, each year, we may have a handful that we cannot renew.
So, I mean, based on what, I mean, I'm just trying to understand, and I know we're going to have another meeting, Mr. Chairman. But, I mean, if it's less than 2%, 1%, or there's not really data, I mean, can you really sit here and statistically say whether what Chairman Corbett's proposing in his legislation would really make a huge difference?
Except for those few. It's very few.
And I'm talking about the original legislation, not the amended.
The original legislation, no.
Okay.
It would only impact those very few. Luckily, in the state of Georgia, we've got good teachers that want.
So it sounds like you support his bill, the original bill?
I did. That's why
I
still do. I just was suggesting a change to it.
I'm just trying to see where everybody's at here.
I mean, we're not fighting the bill. We're not opposed to the bill. We're just suggesting that this be looked at.
Okay.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Sims, did you have?
Would like to hear from the Department of Ed, please, if we have time.
Okay. Is there someone here from?
I can see them.
Okay. If you like, come up to a microphone if you don't mind.
Sit right here. They might have.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, if you state your name and.
Fantastic. My name is Nathifa Carmichael, and I'm the Assistant Director of Policy and External Affairs with the Georgia Department of Education.
Okay.
I'm also a career-long educator. And so what we are saying today is that we are supportive at the Department of Education of the original legislation without the amendments, because we are committed to strengthening the teaching profession and ensuring that we are creating supports and systems of support for educators across Georgia. We want to make sure that we have a quality teacher in every classroom and make sure that we address the issues that we can within the current teacher evaluation system. Some things that we want to make sure is clear. We recognize the need to support teachers in their professional growth by removing the needs development language from the code section regarding renewal of certification. As many of my predecessors who've come here before have stated, this is an opportunity to support educators. For those who need development, there are some who simply need that coaching, that support to help them be effective teachers in the classroom. And that's what we want to ensure, that all of our students have access to effective teachers. And as we've all acknowledged, there have been times in our career, whether in the first year, the first 3 years, the first 10 years, that we may need support as the context changes and as the needs change. And so we want to make sure that we're acknowledging that. We also want to ensure that there's accurate assessment and reporting. Districts have expressed concerns that getting 2 need development ratings within that 5-year time period could potentially remove teachers from the profession who may just need a little bit of support. And we want to be sure that we're supporting our educators across Georgia. And finally, as was stated a little bit earlier, we want to be clear that approximately 98% of educators are rated at the proficient level. And so, again, wanting to be mindful that in this day and age, in this context, we are creating supports for all of our educators, for all of our teachers. And that's all.
Senator Anastarte.
Thanks for being here this afternoon. I just have one question. Do you know, for the educators that may fall into the needs improvement, like truly in the needs improvement category, that may need assistance, what is the state investment to maybe that 2% that we're spending to help those teachers get to proficiency, or, you know, break down any barriers? Do you know what the state spend is on that?
I do not know the state spend at this time, but I would be happy to follow up and provide that information to you.
Yeah, I'd just be curious.
Certainly.
Thank you so much.
Senator Sims.
Yes. And I didn't get your last name again.
Nathifa Carmichael.
Carmichael. Would you say that 98% proficiency rate is kind of high?
I would state that the needs development rating currently carries a stigma. And so we would like to create an opportunity so that educators are able to receive the kind of support and coaching that they need at any juncture in their career.
I've been a teacher and I've been an administrator. And I'm not here to cast dispersion on teachers. But the word that's most important to me is quality. We can have anybody sitting behind the desk professing to be a teacher, but how do you plan to improve these inefficiencies in the teacher? What do you plan to do? My concern, it's a job. It's a heavy lift being a teacher and even being an administrator in the school. But the most important product would be that child. How do you expect to give that student a quality education? What can we do if there's no platform for helping to improve those educators? Because there isn't in every district. I know, because I have some, just won't call the names, but what do we do?
I'm glad that you asked that question, because there are certainly opportunities to support and coach those teachers. We want to make sure that certainly at the agency level, the Department of Education, we're providing resources that we can actually share with districts. They can customize to their specific needs, their local needs, so that they're able to build and develop teachers at whatever stage they are in their career. From coaching to resources to really the feedback loops, having folks experienced, seasoned, strong, exemplary teachers actually observe those teachers who may need a little bit of support and coach them, so that this is not creating a situation where teachers are being penalized. It's actually a system in which teachers feel support.
And that support should come from the leadership in that building.
Absolutely.
Along with,
Excuse me.
that's okay, the regional educational services as well. But suppose you don't have that leadership for those teachers, then what?
I think what we have found is that creating systems of support is really where we can see the magic happen. We have departments within the agency that provides resources and support. We have local leaders who are able to really customize the support for their schools. We also have districts that come together and really try to think through collaboratively innovative ways to support their teachers, making sure that we're not putting all of the burden on a local school leader, but we're really creating a wide range of options and structures such that people can get what they need when they need it.
Would you say the buck stops at that principal's desk?
I would say that a local leader has the best sense of understanding what the needs of the community and the students are, and that local leader is able to hold that teacher accountable.
Thank you.
Senator Invertardi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to piggyback up off the questions from the senator from Albany, because I think her questions are very valid. Just a couple minutes ago, we talked about the 2% of teachers, and just full disclosure, my wife's a teacher, that may be receiving a needs improvement or assistance. But we're also hearing that there's very little data collection in terms of that piece. So I think to Senator Sims' question of how do we truly know the 98% are really proficient, do we really know that if we're not collecting data? Or how do we know that?
I think the data points that we have they may not give the full picture of what our teachers' needs are. And so I think by removing the stigma of needs development, we can create an opportunity to better assess what their needs are, and to your point, better support those teachers wherever they land.
Yeah, and I agree with your last comments about in some cases the stigma, but if we're not truly collecting that data and we know who those individuals are that need those true supports, then how can we truly help them? I guess that's kind of where I'm going with this conversation is, I don't know if it's, for another, legislative session, if this is a discussion we want to have, but if there's no data really kind of backing up, the claim, then how do we know the claim is real? I'm not directing this at you, but it seems like needs to be some serious conversation about how are we doing that so we can truly help teachers get to where they want. And I think to Senator Sims's point about in the classroom, making sure that, those resources and help as needed are getting to where specifically, precisely, and surgically where they need to get, versus us sitting here playing a guessing game. But I want to thank you for being here today.
I would say DOE has that information. Those evaluations go somewhere. I did them for 20 years. They go to the State Department. We don't get that information at the PSC. I do want to reiterate too, I talked to Matt Jones. We talked to Matt Jones before this meeting to come in. And one other point, when you talk about a teacher that needs help, if a student has a poor teacher 2 years in a row, that student's so far behind, they'll never catch up. And that's not me saying it, that's research. And so we're trying to get them help. We understand the problem with needs development all the way through in the entire system. We're trying to get teachers help and make sure they have some help and that they'll take that help. They are people after all.
Okay.
That's all.
Well, like I said, we're just going to do a hearing on this bill today. Have no one else signed up for questions, but I will bring this bill back possibly on Wednesday, and we'll have that in the folder and hopefully be able to take action then. All right. Thanks, sir. All right. The next bill we have is House Bill 1357, Representative Smith. Distinguished man in the bow tie.
Yes, sir. I figured it was a good day to wear it. So thank y'all for having me today. Today I bring to you House Bill 1357. And to summarize House Bill 1357, this has the Professional Standards Commission to consider any teacher certification program outside the state which meets accreditation and certification requirements of the PSC. Currently, the PSC regulates teacher accreditation, and there's been a little bit of a bar for out-of-state or for-profit providers from even applying in Georgia. And our state and our General Assembly, along with Governor Kemp, they've led in making Georgia a very teacher-friendly state with a total of a $5,000 teacher pay increase. We've seen some shortages in our STEM areas for teachers, and so this bill will allow for us to provide more teachers in the pipeline as we see some turnover in the state in these areas specifically. A lot of our rural areas have an issue with this, so this is what this bill aims to do by providing us with the opportunity to have more teachers.
Okay, thanks, sir. Any questions from the committee? Senator Anavitarte.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Always good to see my friend from Haralson County here.
Likewise.
Representative Smith, does this bill mandate the approval of any educational prep program in Georgia?
As far as mandate, it ensures that the PSC at the end of the day has the last say on whether these programs meet the certification requirements. So if there's anybody trying to slip in that would be under par as far as providing good teachers for us, the PSC could snuff that out and prohibit any bad actors, I guess you could say.
Okay. That's the only question I have, Mr. Chairman. At the appropriate time, I'd like to make a motion.
All right. That appropriate time, just a moment. All right. I have no other questions from the committee. Do we have a couple of people signed up to it? Matt, if you'd like to come forward again, please.
I've been called a lot worse. The way the bill is written, we don't oppose it. We do have a bar that colleges have to meet both in and out, and we've got a total of 63 providers in the state of Georgia, and they do meet that bar, and that's all we ask. We've got out of state and Phoenix, West Florida, I don't know, just to name a few, but we have out of state colleges that come in and meet that bar one way or another, and so we're not opposed to this. Our job is to make sure that the teachers get the best opportunity they can learn and to come out good teachers, and so that's what we do. So
Thanks, sir.
Yes.
Lisa Morgan. You're waving. Okay. Kim, Relay Graduate School of Education. I don't want to. I will really mess up that one. Thank you for being here. If you just your name and who you're with.
Chairman Payne and committee members, thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony on behalf of Relay Graduate School of Education in support of House Bill 1357. I am Kim Karakalitis, the State Director of Relay Graduate School of Education here in Georgia. Relay is a nonprofit institution of higher education whose mission is to teach teachers and school leaders to develop in all students the skills and strength of character needed to succeed in college and life. We were founded in 2011 and are accredited by the Council for the Accreditation of Teacher Preparation, CAPE. We operate state-approved teacher preparation programs in 10 states and the District of Columbia. We currently operate as an approved out-of-state provider in Georgia by way of Colorado. This means additional coursework for our Georgia educators and, depending on the content area, additional assessments. Here in the state, we have Georgia-based faculty who have been K-12 Georgia educators and leaders. We have a brick and mortar and have obtained the highest accreditation an education preparation program can obtain, and still cannot apply to be an approved in-state program. House Bill 1357 will give us the ability to apply for in-state program approval, which would allow us to expand our program offerings and support educators on a waiver through an alternative certification route. Yes, Georgia has taken steps to regulate low-performing education prep programs. However, Georgia remains a national outlier in regulations that potentially restrict high-performing, high-rigor, out-of-state programs for becoming approved in the state. These quality blanket restrictions include Georgia being the only state out of 50 analyzed that requires the president and or CEO of an out-of-state institution to reside in the state. Georgia is one of 4 states that bars programs originating outside of the state from operating branch and satellite campuses. And Georgia is one of 4 states that requires programs to maintain a brick and mortar presence in the state. Instead, Georgia's regulations must serve to create opportunities for effective programs to serve areas of high needs and unmet needs throughout the state. House Bill 1357 allows for this. House Bill 1357 allows Georgia to provide options to its educators that include high-performing, out-of-state program providers. It allows for out-of-state programs to be approved based on merit. House Bill 1357 gives institutions like mine the ability to be considered to apply for in-state status. I hope that this information is helpful for the committee's consideration. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. You have no questions. Thank you. All right. Any further discussion? All right. I'll entertain a motion.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we do pass committee substitute House Bill 1357 LC 490956S.
All right. I have a motion. I have a second. Second. I have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by raising your hand. 1, 2. All right. It looks like it's unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Your bill will move on, sir.
Thank you.
And who's carrying your bill?
The gentleman from the 31st, Paulding County, my friend, Senator Aaron McCarthy.
Oh, okay. All right. Like I said, we'll have back House Bill 1295 on Wednesday, and we'll and I'll have the original language in the folder then for everyone. We have no further business before this committee today. Thank you all for coming.